Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagujatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Purijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishagandita Aumagyanatimirandhasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisheshu Shunyavadi Pashatta Deshatadine Namam Vishnupadaya Vachajya Singha Rupine Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshava Iti Namine Pati Marta Charitrayo Swasitam Chapaline Jivedukhe Sadartayo Shri Nama Prema Daine Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Dayitaya Kripabdhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Nama Madhur Ujjvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namastute Namaste Gauramani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rup Anuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dhvanta Harine Namo Gauri Kishoraya Sakshad Vairagvamurtaye Vipralambhara Sambodhi Padam Jayati Nama Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rup Anuga Varayate Gauravir Bhabhumistang Vittishta Sajjana Priya Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namo Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurat Vishe Nama He Krishna Karunar Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatang Surato Pangur Mamo Mandamate Vatsarvasa Padam Bhajao Radha Madan Mohanam Divyat Brindaranda Kalpadruman Srimadatnagarav Singhasanas Shri Shri Radha Shri Govinda Deva Prashtalivi Sevyamana Smarami Shriman Rajasarambi Vamshivata Tathasthita Karfan Venukshanair Gopi Gopinatha Shriyastanaha Vrindavai Tulasideva Vipriya Vaikeshavasya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Sattvatai Namo Namah Panchatatmatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Nana Shastra Vicharinaika Nipunao Sadharma Samsthapakao Loko Nam Hitakarinao Tribhuvane Manya Shrananya Karo Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Anande Namatranikau Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalakau Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalakau. Lessons in the Redeemutige between. Oh. Let us offer a most humble obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, at the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Rakhak Srila Deva Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev. Let us also offer a most humble obeisances at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya Prabhu, and all their eternal associates. Let us also offer a most humble respects to the scripture, Sri Upadesamrita. May they bless us so that we are able to take these wonderful transcendental instructions, commit them to memory, and earnestly follow these instructions. So we are reading from we're still at the text 3. Utsahand nishchayat dhaijat tattat karma pravartanat sangatyaga sato vritte shadvibhakti prasidhyati. Eagerness, confidence, forbearance, following the spiritual practices ordained by the scriptures, giving up the company of materialists, and following in the footsteps of pure sadhus. These 6 practices enhance devotion. So we are in the subtitle, Following in the Footsteps of Sadhus. So previously we had stopped at the point where Shraddha was being described. Shraddha. Shraddha will be always discussed because Shraddha is the root or the seed of prema. And prema is our goal. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came specifically to propagate Pancham Purushartha. Pancham Purushartha Krishna Prema. Throughout the Vedas, this goal, spiritual goal, Krishna Prema, was always slightly hidden, kind of. Hidden. Because alone, prema can bring Krishna under the control of the devotees. Nothing else. Now, why would the devotees want to bring Krishna under their control? Not all devotees. Only those devotees who have spontaneous love for Krishna. All those devotees who are willing to give everything for the sake of Krishna and do his bidding. So Krishna reciprocates by doing the same. Krishna also gives everything that he has and wants to do the bidding of his devotees, because this is the promise Krishna makes in the Gita. Je jatamam prapaddante. So it is nothing unusual for Krishna when he gives himself completely to his devotees and becomes their order carrier. It gives him great pleasure. So, Shraddha is the seed form of prema. So therefore, only Shraddha can guide us there. Shraddha alone, nothing else. One may go on doing all devotional service. For example, the Txt3-p50-para2 is saying that from amongst all the different limbs of bhakti, 9 limbs are the most important. Bhaktir Madhya Sreshto Navavidha Bhakti. There are so many different limbs of bhakti. From amongst them, 9 are the most important. Tar Madhya Sarva Sreshto Nam Sankirtan Niraparade Nam Daile Krishna Pai Krishna Premodhan. And from amongst these 9 again, chanting the holy name without offenses will accrue the highest treasure, Krishna Premodhan. But then again, we read in the Txt3-p50-para2, Krishna's Kavita Gosvami is saying, কোটি জন্মে করে যদি নাম সংকীর্তন তবু নাহি মিলে তারে কৃষ্ণ প্রেমোদন. One may be going on chanting for millions lifetime, but still will not attain love of God. Tabu nahi mile Krishna. So it seems like it's an apparent contradiction. But no, it is like that. Because the stress is not on chanting, the stress is on Shraddha. By chanting, have you increased your Shraddha? Question mark. By hearing, have you increased your Shraddha? Question mark. By going on pilgrimage, staying in the dham, studying the scriptures, have you increased your Shraddha? Question mark. If in all these cases it is yes, then certainly that Shraddha will guide us to that highest region of complete dedication. We are travelers in the infinite ocean. In the Bhagavatam are the footsteps of those great personages that have traveled on the way. The broad line chalked out for the footsteps of those that are going to the divine world. Dharmastha tattvam nihita guhayam mahajana yena gatasya pantha. Dharmastha tattvam. The scientific understanding, practice, and living according to the principles of dharma is lodged deep in the heart of the sadhus, saintly personalities. Nihita guhayam. Nihita guhayam. Nihita means it has been nestling. Just like in between 2 branches or mountains, a small thing is nestling, safe and sound. Similarly, dharmastha tattvam nihita guhayam. Mahajana jena gatasya pantha. Simply have to follow the footsteps chalked out by our previous acharyas. Then we shall certainly attain the divine world. All else may be eliminated because calculation is fallible and all justification comes from the absolute infinite. Calculation, we may calculate for millions of years, we may calculate so many different things. But calculation is also fallible. That means our logical thinking according to all the different criterion that we have at our disposal, any conclusion we may arrive at may be for us a watertight decision or calculation. But no, because all justification comes from absolute infinite. When these calculations prove wrong, any form of justification can come from anywhere at any time. We are floating in a boat in the infinite ocean. Anything may come to help or to hinder. Only our optimistic good faith can be our guide. And our optimistic faith is in following simply on the footsteps of the Mahajana. That's all. Nishchayat. We've studied that already in this verse only. Utsahan, dhairjat, nishchayat. Nishchayat is only our optimistic good faith can be our guide. We have to be optimistic. And why not? All the ingredients, all the requirements that will ensure our attaining this divine region of Golok Vrindavan has already been given. It is already there. We simply have to understand that these are the ones who are going to carry us to that region. And as soon as our Shraddha becomes a little shaky, then it will come to hinder us. As soon as our Nishchayat, conviction, Shraddha, will withstand the ravages of all different kinds of attacks in the form of doubts, allurements. That's the only thing which will ultimately carry us there. So our only optimistic good faith can be our guide. Because everything that points to that has been given to us. The human body is the best boat that will ferry us across the ocean of nescience. We've been given a power of discrimination to distinguish between illusion and reality. We have been given the good intelligence to make the right choice. So the human birth, after so many millions and millions of births, is the only one where we can completely get rid of our karma. Not a single vestige of karma will remain if one is in the human form of life. That cannot be said of any other life form in any other planet. Be it Brahmalok, or be it the Patala. No way. So with all these factors, there's actually no chance of missing this opportunity. So therefore, why should not one be optimistic? And here optimism is not to be judged by what the mundane understanding is. Mundane understanding is optimistic means in spite of being a complete failure, one may still be like a fool optimistic. But here the optimism is even pessimism is supporting optimism, because pessimism opens the door to the realities of mundane existence. Here's a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. Nrideham adyam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam guru karnadharam maya anukulena nabhasvate ritam puman bhavabdhim nataret sat atmaha. Oh. The human body can award all benefit in life and is automatically obtained by the laws of nature. Although it is a very rare achievement, this human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat, having the Guru as the captain and the instructions of the Lord as favorable winds, impelling it on its course. Considering all these advantages, a human being who does not utilize his human life to cross the ocean of material existence should be considered the killer of his own soul. What a verse. The killer of one's soul is one who does not take advantage of these wonderful gifts that the Lord has provided us. The human body can award all benefit in life. One may think that life in the heavenly planets is so pleasurable. One does not have to go to work, one does not have to earn money, one does not have to pay taxes, one does not become sick, one does not become old, one does not become weak. Everything goes perfectly. On the higher the planetary system, the better the conditions, mundane conditions. And of course, lower planetary systems, it is exactly the opposite. But nowhere are the benefits which are obtained by human life is available. Becoming free from karma. Although it is a very rare achievement, and it's not so easy to attain this human form of life. This human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat. Krishna calls it yantra. Yantra. A machine. Yantra is a machine. The perfect yantra. Yantra rudhani mayaya. So this yantra acts as a boat. And it is perfectly constructed. It is uncanny to see what the different connections are in the different organs and parts of the bodies. It's perfectly functioning. However, a boat in an ocean needs a captain, who will say which way to go. Captain is also the navigator. And it also needs favorable wind, not stormy, not too slow, but favorable to push it forward. That way, all these advantages in the human being who does not utilize this human life is a Atmaha, killer of his own soul. Guru Karna Dharam. The Guru is the guide. In the infinite ocean, I have boarded my small boat, and the destination is uncertain and inconceivable to me. But it is conceivable to my Gurudev. And I'm moving with that sincere faith within me. I'm in ignorance. I have never experienced the spiritual world. I don't know what is expected in the ocean of material existence. Where are the whirlpools? Where are these big fish? Where is that? I don't know. Because I've never traveled this way. In all my previous human births, I've mostly tied this boat to the pier, and the boat has never moved. But in this lifetime, by the grace of Sadhu Guru Vaishnavas, the boat is afloat. The Guru is sitting there in the seat of the navigator. Captain is put up the sails and constantly hearing of the scriptures. The boat is providing favorable wind and it is moving forward. I have boarded my small boat and the destination is uncertain and inconceivable to me. I have never gone this path, this way. So the destination is uncertain. I don't know. I don't know if the destination is north, south, east, west. I don't know. And it is inconceivable. Even if I see it, I will not be able to know that this is the right one. But my Gurudev, he has descended by the order of the Supreme Lord to be amongst us, to take us, ferry us across this ocean. So with this sincere faith, oh, my Gurudev is there. Swayam samuttirya sudhistaram dhuyuman bhavarnavam bhiman adabhrasau hridaha bhavat padam baruha navamatrate Nidaya yataha sad anugraho bhavan. O effulgent one, your mercy towards your devotees is unlimited. By your grace, they have shelter of the boat of your lotus feet and cross over the ocean of material existence, which is difficult to cross. These devotees in their turn are so kind towards the conditioned souls that they keep this boat of your lotus feet in this material world for their redemption. They don't take the boat with them. They leave that boat for our redemption. It is the horrible ocean with so many waves and so many sharks. Timingila. Timingila is a fish which is grosser than the whale. In Sanskrit, the whale is known as Timi. And Timingila is one who can swallow the whale. That's why it is called Timingila. Ingila means the one who can swallow. Whales and other things, full of danger. Bhavat padam buruha navam atrate. Their footsteps are our only hope. We have to depend on that. It is only for our relief that so many lighthouses, the footprints of the saints, are in the infinite ocean to guide us to that place. Our Vaishnavas. That's why in the Gaudiya Vaishnava parampara, the tradition of following in the footsteps is so important. Actually in all, but specifically in this Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. Then it is possible. Otherwise, with the horrible ocean which is full of so many dangerous animals, aquatics, and there will be no way we can cross over without the guidance. So, and they are so kind. They are ferrying across this ocean of nations, material existence, holding on to the boat of your lotus feet. But they do not take that boat along with them. So kind. They leave that boat on the seashore so that we may be able to find that boat of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So although there are so many dangers, although there are so many difficulties, trials, tribulations, at the same time, there's so much of help and hope and blessings that even these most difficult challenges can be overcome and easily overcome. The instructions of the Mahajans are always true, but their conduct may not always be useful to the beginner. The instructions of the Mahajans are always true, but their conduct may not always be useful to the beginner. Their instructions are always useful, but not always their practices. A Mahajan may do something that may not be helpful for my stage. He has such great spiritual power that a little defect may not harm him in any way in his practice. An intelligent person will always accept those practices that are backed by his words. It is very important. Very, very important. This will save us. If we understand this, this will save us from Sadhu Ninda, Vaishnava Aparad, the most serious and heinous of all the Nama Aparad. The instructions of Mahajans are always true. Yeah. Because the Mahajans, out of their infinite kindness and understanding of the science of Bhakti Yoga, gives us instructions according to our needs and requirements. But the way they act may not always be useful to the beginner. Say, for example, Vasudev, the Brahmana in South India whose body was filled with wounds from this disease. What is it? They were all full of this ita. What is the English word for ita?
Pus.
Full of pus. And there were these worms who were eating on the pus. And he was putting them back when they were falling off. Can we do that? Don't try. Similarly, Kunti Devi said, "Oh my Lord, let all the calamities visit us again and again. But you stay here." Prabhupada is writing in purport, don't try to imitate Kunti Devi. When Garuda would come regularly to Jamuna to have his favorite food, the fish in Jamuna, then don't be like Sabari Muni, who cursed him and then he fell down. There are so many instances. A beginner cannot understand this conduct. Therefore, their instructions are useful. Prabhupada would say, do as I tell you, don't do as I do. Do as I tell you to do. Don't do as I do. Who can imitate Prabhupada? Who can imitate Garuda? So their instructions are useful, but don't judge by their practices. Their practices is completely under the control of the Supreme Lord. In what situation the pure devotee is absorbed in the pastime of Krishna, and according to that pastime, the actions are being seen on the external by us. How can we judge? He has such great spiritual power that a little defect may not harm him in any way in his practices. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj would be so angry with his stomach that, "You fool, you always have to feel hungry. All right, eat." So he would take a handful of Ganga clay on the banks of Ganga Devi, the Ganga clay, and he would feed himself. Can you do that? He has such great spiritual power that a little defect may not harm him in any way in his practice. When Lord Shiva saw the beautiful, alluring, enticing form of Mohini Devi, he began to chase her. But then, who can drink the poison halahal after the churning of the milk ocean? There are umpteen such examples out of the scriptures. So therefore, Prabhupada says, do as I tell you. Don't do as I do. An intelligent person will accept those practices that are backed by his words, not by his actions. His words. Ishwaranam vachah satyam tathaiva charitam kvachit tesham jatsva vacho yuktam buddhiman stat samacharet. The statement of a great person are always true, and the acts they perform are exemplary when consistent with those statements. Therefore, one who is intelligent should carry out their instructions. So what is not being said here but is implied is that those statements which are not consistent with their actions, don't try to imitate. Because they are completely under the control of the Supreme Lord. Their life is fully dedicated to the Supreme Lord in order to fulfill his desires and wishes. So nobody knows. Therefore, Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is saying nobody knows the actions of great personalities. Nobody knows. Vaishnavedo Kriya Mudra Pigya na bujhaye. Even the most learned, intelligent person will not be able to understand the actions of a Vaishnava or the Supreme Lord. But if we accept that all the actions that the Lord performs is transcendental, then the Lord promises that I will take you to the spiritual world. Similarly, all the devotees' actions, pure devotees' actions, they're not to be as long as these actions of the pure devotee does not transgress the laws of the scriptures, that is, the laws of morality, as long as they don't transgress that, then one may. But there are instances also where, like Brahma stealing the calves, how did doubt arise in his mind about the divinity of the Supreme Lord? And Lord Brahma is our founding acharya of the spiritual lineage. So therefore, an intelligent person should carry out their instructions. Ishwaranam vachaha satyam. The leaders of the higher order, what they say, that is true. Vachaha satyam. Sometimes their conduct is not always the same. Tataiva charitam kvachit. Tatha eva acharitam kvachit. Always try to follow their advice, but don't try to imitate their conduct. Charitam kvachit. An intelligent man will accept that conduct which is one and the same with their advice. Buddhiman stat samacharit. When he has realized the higher state, he may not be very ardent to follow the conduct of the lower stage. But when he comes to advise me, he will tell me what is necessary for my position. When an advanced Vaishnava, Sadhu, has attained a higher stage in his devotional practice, through his devotional practice, then he may not follow the conduct of the lower stage. May not take 3 baths every day, for example. There are so many other different rules and regulations of the lower stage. He may not follow it. It's a waste of time. The time he would need to have 3 baths, he could have been absorbed in the Leela. But when he comes to advise me, he will tell me what is necessary for my position. But he himself may not accept the same thing as his own conduct. He is above that. He has finished that class and he is reading in a higher class. And when a student of that class he gives the lessons of his level. Ishwaranam vachaha satyam. Because he knows that he is giving advice to a particular section, he will always give advice in a proper line. Tataiva charitam kvachit. But their own practice is not always the same as their advice. They themselves may go to a higher position. There is no necessity of that sort of practice. And an intelligent man will accept that conduct, which is always corroborated by his advice. Always corroborated by his advice. Those advice we have to accept and not try to imitate on actions that he has not spoken to of. That is his. That is his prerogative, the way he acts. Questions?
Hare Krishna.
Very good.
As you mentioned that only on this planet, which is known as Mrityu Loka, we can neutralize our karma, but there are planets higher than this. Why can't we neutralize our karma on those planets?
No, there we are experiencing the result of our pious activities performed in the Earth planet. So those are the results, these are not the cause.
So on our planet, we are both suffering and enjoying as according to our activities. How does it relate to neutralizing our karma?
So there are rituals which will neutralize, but in the higher planets or lower planets, even if one performs rituals, it cannot neutralize karma. It is due to the result of the karma that he is right now in the higher or lower planets. And there is no possibility to accrue or get, receive, perform activities either to enhance his karma or to neutralize his karma, which is only possible on earth.
Even though we call it Mrityu Lok, we call
And the
this.
Mrityulok is not just the earth planet. Everywhere there is Mrityu.
So, Mrityu Lok means any place where death takes place.
Yes, the entire material creation is Mrityulok.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This faith is going to develop, or we're gonna have it later on, or how does it work? This faith, this is, because I was thinking, because when we beginner, we come full faith, very strong. Now we are questioning now, so I'm thinking about with love, with because we get bigger. Do I go stage or by stage, or you go for developing in our thing. So how does it work?
You're right. It is because of faith we come to the spiritual life. Without faith, it will not bring us. However, the faith is in a very neutral state. It is not yet fully manifest. As I said, that faith or Shraddha is the seed of prema. For example, the Guru gives me the seed, and this seed I sow in the earth. Huh? So it not. Whereas it will take time before it flowers and becomes the transcendental fruit of prema. So it will all has to go through the different stages of manifestation. But without faith, it would not be possible to engage in devotional service or to take shelter of the Guru. Faith is a prerequisite.
So do I know what kind of result I'm gonna get? What's a full faith? What is it? How does it look like? For example, that seed you give it to me, the fruit. What is that? When I have to pick it, do I just know it, or feel it, or get close to it? How do I measure it? That faith. Dropping myself from the balcony right now. Full faith. Is it that I'm gonna get now?
Well, there are other factors also. I mean, we have been also given intelligence. So with our intelligence, why should we fall from the balcony? Intelligence is meant to preserve life, not to destroy it. So intelligence is to preserve and increase faith, not to ignore it and destroy it. Like it is, we just read Atmaha. The word Atmaha is the killer of the soul. So faith does not mean that to prove that I have faith that Krishna will protect me and I jump down from the balcony. No, it is not required. My faith keeps me on the path of bhakti. That is my faith. If I had no faith, then I would not have any interest in hearing, chanting, and all these. It is only because of faith that I am continuing to doing that. It is more difficult to continue to hear, chant, meditate, read, associate devotees every single day. Much more difficult than simply ending my life. Then it's finished. It's the easy way. Finished. So how can we prove that by simply jumping from the balcony that I have faith? No. I have to prove it every single day. That is the proof of faith.
Sorry about the balcony part.
No, that's a
Faith.
good point.
I was meaning.
No, that's a
I
good
do
point.
realize something.
And
That
even
part,
if you are not saying it, I'm saying it.
my point was that am I gonna recognize or realize something? It's something different than me. Something going to change.
Yes. Before you came to Krishna consciousness, were you willing to hear every single day? Were you willing to chant every single day? Huh? Haribol?
Haribol. Yeah, I said it's faith. That time looks like to me is a blind faith. I mean, completely faith.
Well, even if it's blind faith, so if blind faith has so much power to bring someone on the path of bhakti, just imagine if the faith is open, not blind, how much power it will have to take us forward. So before you accepted Krishna consciousness, Could you think of every day hearing and chanting and reading? Could you?
No, that was very hard to adjust myself to do something like that, or put
Yes,
myself
yes.
in someone's
But
seat
how
and do it.
is it that you're doing it now every day? If
Hopefully,
you had no faith, if your blind faith did not open their eyes, how could you do it now?
Deva. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So when Krishna so desires, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Srila Prabhupada blesses us, we shall get to hear Harikatha tomorrow again. I thank you for all your patient hearing and beg forgiveness for all the mistakes I have committed. Let us once again offer our most humble obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, at the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti-Rakkhak Srila Deva Goswami Maharaj, Srila Gurudev. Let us also offer our most humble obeisances at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, and all the eternal associates. Let us also offer our most humble respects to the scripture, Sri Upadesamrita. Hare Krishna and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Gurudev.
all glories to Srila Prabhupada.